From Oscar Steakhouse, inside the Plaza Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, you're on the corner of Main Street. Welcome to the only podcast produced by and recorded in the Las Vegas Hotel Casino. From gaming to dining to entertainment to sports to Vegas history, this is the place to be for the inside scoop, because this is the place to be downtown. Now, here's Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel.
Joining us today is one of the Las Vegas's top content creators with over 1 billion views, and I think I'm probably underestimating that. But welcome, Jennifer Gay, aka Vegas Starfish, to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you so much. I've been meaning to get down here.
Thank you, Jen. You're on like a podcast kick, right?
I am. I typically don't do them because I'm a behind the camera person. I really want the focus to be on Vegas. And when you put yourself in front of the camera, it makes it about you. But you had asked and a few others, and I said, you know what? This is obviously some sort of phobia of mine. I'm going to take 60 days. I'm going to say yes to everyone. And I put that out there, and now I'm doing like 4 a day. And once I'm done, I'm never going to do them again.
Content's going to be out there. Your story's going to be out there for sure. Then listen, podcasts, if you haven't done them, which you haven't been doing, you just started jumping into it, is the most amazing way to engage with people and to meet people. Not meet people because you're not literally meeting them, but in terms of sharing stories, insight, information. And that's why we started doing this, I don't know, is it 3 or 4 years ago at this point?
Yeah, we're going on 4 years.
And so when we started this, it was just, no idea where it would go, but to have so many people that you're able to share stories with, insights, and you've got amazing Vegas stories that it's important to share those. So it's good that you're willing to do this. And speaking of great stories, we missed you last night at the Oscars dinner series.
I love that series so much. It's so cool. And I think it's something that, and I've tried to relay this in content, but it's hard to really impress upon people that this isn't something you're going to be able to do for long. Oscar's not always going to be with us. He's an older gentleman. And when it's gone, there's really nothing else comparable.
Yeah.
We'll be telling stories about what we remember from him. But right now you can experience it with him. And that's so cool. I've made a video on it, and I've had hundreds of people say they went. It was amazing. I had one person who didn't like it. And I said, why? And he said, I expected him to talk more about the mafia stuff. And instead he talked about sports. And I was like, but that's what's cool about it, is like you're getting a treasure. You don't know what you're going to get. It's raw. It's unfiltered. It's not scripted. It's FaceTime with someone who's like a literal living legend.
And that's exactly what it is. It's a historical night with insight into stories that probably will never happen again in terms of an era. And yes, that we have this different subjects, because otherwise he tells the same story every time. Last night's subject was defending the indefensible. You can listen to it, one of the previous episodes.
It'll be released by the time this comes out.
And it was a lot about the mob and his old days and the government in terms of their tactics of going after people and how he justified defending people that had some interesting pasts. But I have to say, of all the people we've invited to these dinner series, your posts get the most engagement. Your posts are definitely the most useful in terms of driving
marketing, right?
Marketing. So you're clearly you're the biggest influencer in Las Vegas, I would say.
I am. There's one other Unlocked who you should have sometime. He's
That's
wonderful.
More food. You do
He's
everything.
all food.
He's all food.
But we're about neck and neck. We go back and forth on who's larger in terms of followers. But he's awesome and a great asset. I'm the largest generalized Vegas.
Okay.
But yeah, I had those posts do really well because I think people like the idea of flirting with Vegas history and mafia and all that. And it's really cool. And then you add to that, Oscar's just says whatever he's thinking, and it's the best.
Yeah, we do an open Q&A, and it's always interesting, the questions people ask. It always goes back to mob, and people want to know about the movie Casino. We always get a question about politics, generally something to do with defending Donald Trump or something like that. We try and stay away from all politics at the dinner series, including this podcast. So that's, don't know why I went there. But the Q&A is always fascinating in terms of where people go and having him tell those stories. And we've recorded everyone now. So the mayor... We've been doing this about a decade, and the first 3 or 4 years, we didn't even record these things. Now we're recording them all, and now we're getting video behind them. So there'll be a book of content for generations to come where you'll be able to hear Oscar's stories into the future.
It's a really good anthology to put together. Touching on the politics you brought up, I'm about to take my first political ad ever. And I've always said no because I like to stay in the middle. It's about Vegas. It's not about what you're into. But Turn It Up Nevada reached out And it's just about mobilizing people to vote.
Good.
So it's going to be just a very, I don't care who you vote for, but here's how you do it. And I like the fact that they're putting money behind that, because I think that's something that young people maybe they know they should do it, but the process is complicated. So I'm excited. But
Sarah, are you going to vote? Sarah's here?
yeah,
Are you registered? Good. All right. Good.
that's
Go.
awesome.
Very nice.
My ad or whatever, my paid partnership will just be telling people how to get registered. And basically now you can just click a link and it's
Yeah.
done. Like back when I registered, it was a thing, but now it's you can do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's coming into that season.
Yeah.
And we'll get to, I mean, I wanted to know like how much of your views are from people that are out of state or people that are tourists versus people that are locals. Because I'm assuming you got a big locals.
27% local. And then there's an additional 23% that I consider local adjacent, like California, Utah, people that can drive to us and
Or drive market.
do drive
right.
to us. And then the rest are, and with a healthy amount in the UK. Canada and
loves
the UK
Vegas.
loves Canada too. The
Yeah,
Canadians,
you're right.
they'll come down. They'll be in February. They start sending me messages. What pools are open? Slow down, bro. And they're like, no,
It's-
it's sweltering down
yeah.
there. It's 75 outside.
I love it when we have people from Wisconsin here and they're like, it's December. And they're like, I want to get service at the pools. It's December. And they're like, oh, this is sunbathing weather for me. It's 55 outside.
Yeah, they're brave.
Yeah. But no, UK and Canada do love Vegas. I have to say, this is the best time of year. Mid-September, early October. Everything's happening. Convention season's coming back. The weather's amazing. As we look outside, life is beautiful, setting up. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going to have to come out soon because it's talking about things now, Gary. But it's just the best time of year, this right now.
It
There's so much
is.
happening.
I've been tracking hotel room rates, and the highest rate, and it may be different for you guys. I'm speaking in general terms, but October is trending as the highest month in terms of standard room rates. And I think that's because people are catching on that October and May are the two most magical months to visit. The weather's perfect. It's not quite pool season, but you can do everything else.
Yeah. From a business perspective, the last 3 years, October's been our best month, and it's
Oh,
not
really?
even close.
Okay.
It's not even
Yeah.
close. So thank you for coming down here today, and we
Exactly.
introduced you, but why don't you start from the beginning?
I think my
Gary?
big question is we'll get a little bit of your backstory, but who was Jennifer before Vegas Starfish?
That's a good question. I went to school for journalism and graduated believing that I was going to be the next, I don't know, Tom Brokaw or whatever, and realized really quickly that journalists don't make any money, and that working for newspapers, I worked for some of the largest ones in the country, that I was looking at with a master's degree, like $12 and $15 an hour. And then in 2008, the market collapsed. And where there used to be reporters in every city, now there's 5 people working from a digital hub somewhere, and they're syndicating everything. Everything's done digitally now, as it should be. But it really changed the market. So I needed money, and I met a cute boy, and I said, "What do you do for a living?" And he said, "I deal poker." I was like, "What's that like?" And he said, "I make $50 an hour to sit in air conditioning, and I get breaks every hour and a half, and I get to go out and party with my friends at night." And I was in my 20s, and I was like, "That sounds amazing. Let's do it." So I started dealing poker, and I worked my way up through.
Just like you, Gary. Poker rooms.
I did poker for a little while, yeah.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
went on tour with the World Series of Poker and the EPT. I dealt on ESPN, Final Tables. I did it all. It was really cool. But it was hand to mouth. You go in, you make 5K an event, you party 5K, and then you're broke and you're like carpooling to the next event. And it wasn't really a career as much as it was like an existence. And it was awesome. But when it came time to start building a life, I made the decision to settle in Vegas about 15 years ago and climbed up through mid-level management and gaming. And when COVID happened, this is so silly, but it had never occurred to me before that moment that we didn't own our careers. I was making good money. I had benefits. I was working for Win,
I was going to say, yeah, so you're working at Win. Okay.
and everything was great.
In marketing.
And no, I was in gaming.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything was excellent, poker specifically. And all of a sudden my paycheck went away. And it never occurred to me until that moment that we really have no autonomy over ourselves and that you only have what you create for yourself. So I was like, I've got to figure out a way to generate revenue as a self-employed person and still have my career. So I started creating content because my root is journalism. And I thought, you know what? Vegas needs it right now. I'm going to start telling people why they should come to Vegas outside of gambling. Gambling is important, but I don't believe that the motivation for coming here is primarily gambling driven. I think that's now adjacent. people come here for experiences and to treat their whole family to awesome bucket list kind of things. And then the gambling is like a sideline. So I started making content and it went really well. And when it was time for Wynn to call us back, they have a really strict social media policy. And that is you can't have personal social accounts of any significance, especially not one that's going to promote like a competitor.
Other places.
And so I leveled with them and they were like, we've been seeing what you're doing and we want you to know you have our support. And if we'll leave you on as an employee, but you don't have to come to work. And so for a year, I was like in limbo.
Oh, wow.
And then they finally called and said, it's over. Like you
Okay.
either have to come back to work and I said, I think I'm going to do this full time now.
So were you the Starfish already? Was your name
Yeah, I had already started.
pre-COVID? You already had that hand?
No, that was all COVID. I was,
Oh, wow.
as we all were watching Netflix at home during COVID, I saw something about the regenerative properties of starfish, how you cut them up and they grow entirely new. And I was like, man, that's how like Vegas is.
Okay.
No matter what happens, Vegas is, you know what? We can work with that.
We're going to
And
keep growing.
and they rebuild.
Mm.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to pick something that's controversial with itself, Vegas, desert, sea creature, all that, so that it would be memorable. Because so many creators come in and they're like Vegas Bill or Vegas Jen, and there's 100 of them.
Right.
But there's only one Vegas Starfish. So that's why I went with that.
That's
yeah.
you.
Was your original content like COVID and policy changes when you first started, or was it
No,
post
always
that?
tourism.
Okay.
And when I started, because everything was closed, I would just sit in a room and say, there's this bar at Cosmo and you can find it by going here. It was very like Chris Kattan on Saturday Night Live, like at the secret clubs and stuff. It was like I think that's his name. I hope I got that right. I think he went to my high school too, which is weird and not relevant. But anyway, so it started out with just like me telling people about, look, I don't know if it's going to come back, but if it does, this was awesome. And I've since deleted a lot of that content because it was terrible. Like it was,
Kind of fun to have that though and go back and look at
I have it. It's just not out there.
Yeah.
You should definitely put it out. You have enough subscribers
Credibility
now that
now.
they would enjoy seeing
See
that
the
old
pilot
the
episodes.
flashbacks. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a company shopping a reality TV show here in Vegas for influencers. And he's interviewed myself and Perez Hilton and a few others as like potential front runners for it. And so there'll be some villain origin stories, if you will.
that.
So-
That'll be fascinating.
Yeah.
Probably drama filled, but fascinating.
Oh, it's going to be awful. Yeah, we've already
Yeah.
talked about that. But you know what? To their credit, without touching too much on drama, they had an opportunity to interview all of us. And we do have a couple of nefarious creatures in our market. And one that is legitimately problematic. They interviewed him and decided they don't want real drama. They don't want
Too problematic.
They don't want to create a toxic or dangerous environment. They're looking for, I got this deal and you didn't, or did
Right.
you see what she wore? That drama.
More catty, true drama. We'll probably talk about that in a minute, but your goal isn't to be negative. Your goal is to be a sales rep for Las Vegas and to make
Absolutely.
people want to come here. You're sharing content that makes people want to be here as opposed to saying this place is failing or this place is terrible. And when we talk to other foodies, they'll often tell me, like, if they have a bad meal somewhere, they just won't post about it. They're not out there to hurt anybody. They're just out there to say, look how great, and they get good content. But if it's a bad experience in the restaurant, they just won't post about it. Whereas a food critic will destroy you and say this was
Yeah.
a terrible meal. And I think that's the difference between you guys and this and perhaps a critic or, as you call, a nefarious bad actor.
Yes, a bad, I like that term, bad actor. It's a fine line because you have to build a certain amount of credibility with your following, and you can't say everything's great.
Yeah.
And so by omitting the negative things, they assume that you are saying everything's great. They don't see the 50 places that we went to that were terrible. So when I started out, I was like, I'm going to be authentic and honest and all of that. And that was my thing, is I would just drag. And then I realized that I was having a negative impact on people and their lives based on a snippet that I saw. So for example, I went into a hotel. It was a bad experience. I had a bad guest service experience, but that isn't painting an accurate picture of the property. It was just that day. But then I would get messages from CEOs and busboys saying, do you know that like you're hurting our bottom line when you do that, that you're hurting our employees who are locals, who have families here, and it's okay to not have a great experience and share that. It's not okay to be hateful or do it for clicks and likes.
Right.
So over time, I've learned to soften it. I have rules that I've set for myself. I won't drag a small business, period. If I go into your mom and pop sushi shop and get food poisoning, and I'm never telling anyone. If it's a big corporation, I'll hold you accountable. But I also don't do gotcha moments. I get sent bed bug pictures every day.
Oh yeah, you're the bedbug queen.
Every resort has bed bugs, and people don't realize it because they come in on guests,
Of
and you can't do
course,
anything
they're
about
on
it.
aeroplanes, they're in suitcases, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and so I immediately send them to whoever can look at the room and see what's going on.
We don't have them at the plaza,
Yeah,
of course.
no,
but,
never.
Right.
But I would never come out and be like, found at Circa bed bugs, or which hasn't happened, by the way. But
Right.
like, that's a gotcha moment. It's not. But the kind of thing I would talk about is I would come in and say, Oscars is on the pricier side,
Right.
because that's true and people should expect that. Is it worth it? Absolutely. But is it at a budget steakhouse? No.
It's all right, and that part's relative. But I guess there's two parts to this. So one is it's amazing you've been able to build the following you have by not being negative, because so much on social media is negative, and that's how people are almost trained to engage with things. Is if you look at people's comments, it's generally on the negative side. People very rarely are being overwhelmingly positive on social media. So you've been able to do it by not being overly negative, which is very impressive, and congratulations to you for that. But given your size of following, was it like a tipping point for you? Was there something that happened that was like, okay, now we're in the big leagues in terms of, because there's so many people that are trying to do what you do, but are much, much smaller. What was your tipping point moment? Was there a tipping point moment? On your
video or something that just took the...
Well, but on your page, you say you're from Drew Barrymore show.
Yeah. So to answer your question, was there a tipping point? It's wild because it's like money. You know how when you're 20 and you have $5 in your account, you're like, I'm fine. I got this.
Yeah.
When you're 40 and you have $10,000 in your account, you're like, this isn't great. You broke scales. And so do followers. So when I had 100,000, I was like, man, I'm doing pretty good. Like, I can get 8,000 views on a video. Look at me. And then I was like, 1 million is a lot. When I get there, I'll be satisfied. And then I got to 1 million and I was like, 10 million is a lot. And like now I'm at 4-ish. And so it's always, I think ambitious people, it's always the next goalpost. It keeps moving. So there hasn't been a point where I'm like, this is it. I'm successful. Like, I still am very much growing. But I'll see news articles that say like a TikTok star did this, and I'll go look them up and they have 28,000 followers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess I'm a star.
Right.
But no, so the Drew Barrymore show was weird and a lucky break. I got an email from someone saying, Drew Barrymore loves your content. She'd like to have lunch with you. I was 100% sure it was a troll.
Wow.
Because that happens a lot. This week, Jennifer Hudson reached out and they want me to do her podcast, but I have to pay them like 500 Nigerian dollars first. So it's normal.
It's always Nigerian.
Right. So yeah, Target gift cards. So I assumed it was a scam, but I was like, I really like her, so let's try it. And they said, meet us at Lotus of Siam at 2 p.m. on Saturday. I was like, all right, cool. So I get there, no one's there, restaurant's closed, it's empty. And I was like, all right, so it was a troll. So I emailed the producer back and I was like, did I mess something up? Did plans change? And she was like, knock on the door. The restaurant's closed because Drew's filming in there. So I went in and we just sat down and ate Thai food. And she was like, I love your content. Vegas is my favorite city. I want you to come to New York and be on the show. It'll be
Wow.
amazing. And I was like, oh, this will never happen, but cool. And then 3 weeks later, her producers called and they were like,
You ready?
book your plane ticket. We're going. And so we did a thing for a year where she would pick a random city and I would go there and have 48 to 72 hours to starfish it and find like the best food, the best shows, the best hotel, everything. And it was awesome. I did a whole bunch of cities. I did a bunch of appearances. And then it was time to renew for the next season. And unfortunately, I have a 6-year-old and my shout out to my son who's 11 today.
Happy
He's so
birthday.
big. Carter. Doing this would require me to go to whatever the city was for a whole weekend, then go to New York for 4 or 5 days to shoot. And we would do this like every month. And it was so intensive. And I sat down and I did the numbers on it. And the average TV show gets about 150,000 views a day. A good TV show.
Okay.
I think hers was like 140-ish. My average views a day are several million.
Right.
And so it wasn't, I would get nice emails from people who are like, I saw you on the TV show and that was cool. And it was nice, but it wasn't benefiting me aside from it was just a fun thing to do. But it was costing a lot of time and energy. So I parted ways, but I keep in touch with her and it was awesome. and I got really lucky.
So that wasn't the tipping point, though. You were already building great
I was
content
doing
at that
good,
point.
yeah. So it's just been a steady grind.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's great. Yeah.
Just to go back to the Drew show, so you said 150, 200,000 people watching those shows. But then do they re-release that on digital and clips to get that type of engagement?
To some extent, but it's the fact is that television, radio, billboards, all of those things are becoming archaic. People are not watching daytime TV. I grew up with it on in the background. I'm sure you guys have memories of Jerry Springer show and parents watching different stuff. It's just not a thing now.
Right.
Now you sit down and you watch like Dexter or Breaking Bad on all the way through while you're eating dinner or whatever, but you don't tune in and see this week's guest.
The way people just digest content now is completely
It's
different
just
than it was
evolving, right?
in 2015.
So do you not feel a little bad that you don't give negative reviews when you have a negative experience? Because my take on this is you literally are people's source of information at this point. You're more powerful than billboards. You're more powerful than magazines. You're the best form of advertising in the city. PR is pretty much dead. Everything is now content and
I
social
can't believe
media.
you said that out loud. That's
I
such
mean,
a touchy subject.
Why?
PR.
Why?
Because the PR people who we all know and love
Yeah.
because they work amongst us are very sensitive to that.
They're going to have to adapt. The future is content and the future is social media, and they're all moving in that direction.
They are, but they don't get it. They hire a room full of young go-getters who are awesome on social media, and then they still create commercialized crap, and they get 8 likes and 7 shares. People don't want that. The reason that people like myself are doing well is not because we're just brilliant, even though I'd love for that to be the case. It's because you don't want to be sold with commercial shot at anything. You want to know what a real experience is like at Plaza. You want to know, what's the pool like? How's the cabana? Was the food good? And that's what I give people. If they're shopping for a downtown hotel and they see my video, they're going to look at my video here. They're going to look at my video on the D, Golden Nugget, and they're going to decide which one's the best fit for them. We're in an age of information. The internet has changed all of that. People don't want sales pitches. They want facts. And then
they want organic, real content.
Right.
They want to see real life experiences. But for me, when I travel, like if I go to New York, I'll see foodie people in New York say best burgers, best coffee, whatever. I would hate to think that they're just being polite and they're not telling the truth, because to me, that's driving the decision. And same way when people come to Vegas, they're probably looking at you and being driven by your behavior. So if you had a terrible experience somewhere, I guess it's important to let people know not to go there. But I get you don't want to hurt anybody.
For sure. I don't think anyone lies. All of the creators, with the exception of maybe 2, are very close friends, and no one is dishonest. But what we'll do is we try to tell ourselves that my taste and your taste could be different. So if I don't love it, let me represent it accurately and let you make your own decision. And then most places, let's say I went to the burger shop down the town and I hated the burger, but the fries were great. So I can talk about how great the fries were, like not focus on what I didn't love. It's about being artful, but I will give constructive criticism. And when people message me privately and say, there's a steakhouse downtown, I don't know if we're allowed. I don't know who you're.
Oh, no, we are an advocate for everyone downtown. And,
Okay, I was
and
about to
open
drag
about
one.
it. And open about everyone downtown. So if you had please.
I can't stand Hugo Cellar.
Oh,
I think it's so dated. It
Yeah.
hasn't updated. The food is terrible. But yet they've raised prices to stay current with the market. But the whole you're in a basement, they give you a rose or whatever, whatever, it's cool. But they literally do this hot rock appetizer for $80 or $90 where they cook meat on a hot rock in front of you. But the meat's all like different sizes. So you're getting raw chicken next to your beef, and it's gross.
Okay.
And I made a video about it, and I had 25 people that work there say, you're hurting our livelihood. And I was like, then cook your chicken.
Yeah.
So it has to be.
That's a fascinating angle, that the employees or businesses are reaching out to you saying you're hurting us. I get it, but it's your job to tell the truth. And if people are going to rely on you when they book their plans, they don't want to go somewhere that's not good based on an experience you had. So I think it's important as well. And I'm just telling you, what you guys are doing is the most important marketing and advertising in any cities. And obviously, speaking specific to Las Vegas, I put something out on YouTube. I meet more people every day that I didn't know watch YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch YouTube. And now I'm like, oh my God, this many people watch YouTube,
It's
and they
crazy.
act on that behavior. They go down and they want to see real life people that are doing real life things. And why is it then, and you're out there, you're talking to them, why is it, do you think that a lot of casinos then and hotel and bigger operators don't understand the importance of influencers, social media content? They're coming around to it, but you had a fascinating story, if you're willing to share it, about your experience with in the pre-opening of Fontainebleau and the invitations that you didn't get regarding that. Like when you're opening a new resort, you would think this is the kind of thing where you would be very much involved. And I heard you talking about this somewhere else, and maybe just say your story about that.
Yeah, for sure. The answer is really simple. You guys, I say this you as because you're part of sort of the infrastructure of a property, very much a part of it, have always been able to control the narrative. With PR, they put their little PR spin on it. You tell them what you want, they church it up, it's packaged, it goes out. There's no room for error. With us, there is no control. So it doesn't matter how much legalese you put in a contract. We can walk into any resort and say whatever we want. And unfortunately, views pay money. So if I have a video that it goes bonkers and hits 15, 20 million views, we're talking car level of used Honda, but car level, like not a fancy car, but a car. So it benefits us to create drama and to hone on negativity and to be salacious, because if you see a video where I call, the golden nugget like filthy and they're animals and they're disgusting, you're going to share that with someone because, oh my God, why would she say that?
Right.
But if I say it was a nice resort, it was perfectly adequate, nothing really special, but it was clean, that's not that interesting. So I'm going to get more views than negativity.
Yeah.
So as a creator, you have to learn how to wield that responsibly. And are you here for a short time or are you here for a long time? If you're going to be here for a long time, you've got to be responsible with what you say and what you put out there. Otherwise, everyone will stop working with you. So the resorts are hesitant until they see our track record. All of the resorts, with the exception of maybe Circus, because I drag them relentlessly, everyone works with me because I've proven that I'm not a loose cannon.
Right.
If I came into Plaza and I had a bad experience, I would have a conversation with you about what went wrong. And then we would talk about the words we're comfortable using that still allows me to be authentic. So it's about building trust in relationships. The resorts are going to have to get on board with that.
Right.
But it's not easy because you guys have always been able to control everything.
And now they're not.
No. So, but about the Fontainebleau. So Fontainebleau came into town and they've got brilliant marketing and branding. Their branding is amazing. Everything's beautiful, very tight-lipped, very exclusive. They like to control even like the color of a dot on a social media post. They want full control over everything. They didn't allow anyone in. They didn't share. All we got were the canned press releases that everyone got. No one knew what was going on in there. And I actually posted a story that windows were falling out of the Fontainebleau.
Okay.
And it was substantiated with people who saw it and evidence as glass laying on the ground. And
Which glass was already breaking off that property when it was empty because it was settling and there was broken panels.
For sure.
As there was
and I
before.
posed it as is this a safety risk? And their PR team reached out and they were like, just so you know, everything's been inspected. Anything that was problematic has been fixed. Like our building is amazing and it's up to code. And I was like, that's awesome, but we would never know because you're not talking to any of us. So we both know her, mutual friend. She invited me in to sit down with then CEO Colleen Birch, who's amazing, by the way.
She was here last night.
I love her so much.
Dinner.
So she's
Shout
so
out
sweet.
to Colleen.
And so Colleen, who's the CEO in the middle of a property opening, like within a week, she sits down with me, like, who has time for that? And she's, let's talk. What are you thinking? What's going on? And I was like, why are you shutting us out? Like, we are either your best friends or your worst enemy. And she was like, okay, come in. Let's walk around. Let's take some pictures. And I was like, oh my. And she's like in jeans and like her hair's in a ponytail. She was just so real.
So she took you in before the opening.
She did. And then so as we were getting to know each other, she's, is there anything that you want from me? Like, I want to have a relationship with you. How do I do that? And I was like, yeah, why wasn't I invited to your grand opening? And she said, well, it's like a private party. And I was like, that's stupid.
Right.
Because does it even happen if there's not anyone to share it with the world? And she didn't make me any promises, but we talked about it and how it's important, not because I deserve to go to a party, but because I'm going to tell other people why they would want to go there. It's marketing 101.
Right.
So that night I got an invitation and myself and Scott Robin were the only two creators in our market that were officially invited. And Scott said no. because he was too little too late. And
he wasn't
also,
there. I don't remember seeing him there.
no,
now that
he
you
didn't.
mention
And
it.
he also didn't want to wear a tux.
Well, fact about Scott Urban, aka Vital Vegas, who big promoter of this podcast. He was here for the dinner series as well, and he sat next to Johnny Katz, and they had a dinner, just the two of them.
No.
So we're making peace. We're making peace.
I don't believe it.
One influencer, one media
You
person
guys
at a
put
time.
them there, didn't you?
Oh,
You
absolutely,
forced
I
them.
did it. No, I checked with both of them, and they all sat together, and they had a civilized dinner together. I don't know what they talked about, but anyway, it's an aside.
There's no way that is that.
I may even have photographic evidence of this
So
dinner.
awesome. It's funny because at the last dinner series, I sat catty corner to Katz, and Scott sat in the bar and he was pouting because he didn't have a seat. And so I'm texting Scott and I'm like, come sit with me. Like, you can sit next to me. It's fine. I'll share my steak with you. You're good. And he's like, I see you sitting next to Katz.
Him and Katz had your table. I'm just telling you, it happened. But anyway, so did you end up going to the opening of Fountain Blue?
I did. And
Okay.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I did 10 videos on it. And I think that was a good olive branch in showing them that I'm here to work with you.
Yeah.
Include me.
I have a theory. I have a take. I shared it with Lisa Melmoth, who's now at Fountain Blue and used to be on this podcast. I think Fountain Blue could become the best property in Vegas. I think they have
say
the
it all the
potential.
time.
I think they have the potential to do it. I think there's a gap at the top. I think there's a lot of space for somebody to step up and become the new numero uno.
Absolutely.
And maybe it'll be them. I don't know.
I just did a podcast last week where I said that. I said it's going to piss everyone off, and it did. I said the best resort in Vegas right now is Fountain Blue.
I'm not declaring them the best. I'm
No.
saying they have the potential to become the best.
I am, and here's why. Because they rival Wynn. Wynn is what kind of everyone just has accepted as
Yeah.
the best. And Wynn is amazing. But Wynn is also an older property at this point. It's been around a minute, and their prices are exorbitant. And sometimes it's very hard to do things there because you're shut out because there's so many people that go there. Fountain Blue is accessible with equal standards of newness and luxury and niceness, but it's at a fraction of the cost right now.
Right.
It won't always be. But right now, you can stay in a stunning suite at Fountain Blue for $300 on some nights.
Yeah.
The same room at Wynn will cost you $1,200.
Yep. I went to a China Club for dinner, which was excellent. And I went to see Andrew Schultz, which probably is the funniest stand-up comedy show I've ever seen
Really?
in the history of stand-up comedy. For me, I thought he was unbelievable. I don't know if he's political. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know if I didn't follow him on social media or anything. I just happened to go to the show because my wife loves stand-up comedy. It was incredible.
Really?
So that was, actually, that was great. Yeah. It was, and that was like, wow, this place is.
It's
this place has
really
got
nice. Now
really
they've
good
got a lot of
offerings.
kinks to work out,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of imperfections, but we're so hard on the new kid at school, but it is so hard. Have you opened a resort?
I don't know if you would call open it, but I've only ever been at the Plaza, so I've never
Okay.
been anywhere else. But we did close the Plaza in 2010, took all the original Fountain Blue's furniture, remodeled it, and then reopened it. So it was essentially a reopening, and it was a complete shit show. But we totally rushed it. We were idiots. We were
But
insane.
everyone does.
Everyone does. But I guess it's never a good time to open it, but we really weren't ready
You're
to
never
open.
ready.
You know?
But you
Right.
had the benefit of at least brand recognition.
I had this debate with Gary the other day. A lot of places trying to rebirth their names. It's the wrong word, rebirth, but regenerate or reinvigorate. When you take these older buildings and you try to bring them back to life, it's really difficult. It maybe even is more difficult than starting from new because you've got the stigma of the old place. And people always associate you with the old brand. So when you say we had the brand, yeah, but what was the Plaza brand? It wasn't good. If you come in with something new, you have no baggage or history to say this. So a lot of the places now that are trying to restart with the same image, it's difficult.
Yeah, I think I said, like, it loses its magic on some of those properties that have gone through different ownerships and then different remodels. They kept the name and they just lost the magic that they once had maybe 2
I
decades
believe
ago.
that. But you know what? Something that I got into recently is I noticed that. So 2 of my favorite properties are Resorts World and Fountain Blue. I'm typically more of a luxury traveler when I travel, and those meet my needs. And they meet my kids' needs too.
Yeah.
The comments that I would get one over and over again. It was, those resorts have no soul.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've never required a building to have a soul, this interested me. I was
Yeah.
like, what do people mean? Because people say things without knowing what they're meaning. And so I started messaging these people and saying, explain your building's soul. And what I came up with, or what I was able to conclude, is so much of Vegas is nostalgia driven. And what they mean when they say it has no soul is they have no memories or ties to it. Therefore, it must have none. So you've got your adventurous, usually young couples with liquid income who want to check out the newest and best, and they're on the forefront of everything that's hot. But you've got a ton of people who come to Vegas year over year because this is where their dad went. This is where they went in high school or college to party. This is where they got married, and they return because it has soul to them, which they're confusing with nostalgia and memories and sentiment. So even though Plaza may have had the negative past, there were certain people that remember seeing it way back when or whatever, and they connect that with something. So they assume that this building has a soul, whereas Resorts World's like new and shiny, and it has none because there are no memories there.
Some might say I got soul, but I'm not a soldier.
That was awful.
I actually think you're right. There is an element of nostalgia, but when they say they have a soul, it's actually how you make someone feel. And I'm not saying Resorts World and Fontainebleau don't do this, but the way I interpret that is, did you have a connection with somebody at the property or a memorable experience where somebody made you feel special? Somebody made you feel like a number, more than just a number. And I think that's where a lot of people differentiate, at least for downtown. I think they love the idea of engaging with team members or people that are more senior or the owners. If you can walk around and shake hands with an owner or a president, you instantly feel more important. You feel more connected to that place.
For sure. And that's what I mean by the emotional connection. They're getting that when they get to interact with you, but they'll say, oh, I walked through Resorts World. It felt soulless.
Yeah.
No, it felt new and foreign and different.
Right.
Take the time to engage with someone, and then you'll build that connection.
100%. If you got a slot attendant that's worked here 26 years and you come in and they ask you, how are your kids? Or they actually knew your parents before, like, these connections are what make people feel that exact
Which is what you're
message.
doing, because literally you ask anyone, whether it's like the gas station attendant at Fabulous Freddy's in Summerlin or the COO of Fontainebleau, ask anyone about Jonathan Jossel, and they're like,
No.
greatest guy in the world, love him. He comes over, he babysits my kids. And
No.
And I have
appreciate you saying
determined that you are on a one-man campaign to create a personal connection with every human that comes to Vegas. And it's going to make Plaza ultimately the most popular resort downtown.
Well, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. My ego is going through the roof. Gary's vomiting. Gary doesn't know what to do with himself right now.
Nothing to say.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But I do think there is real value in human connection.
Yeah.
And everyone, whether it's a strip or downtown, the more you do that, the better. And that's what made old Las Vegas special. I learned from Jackie Gorn, who was the pioneer of downtown Las Vegas. And his son today is doing it at the South Point. He has lunch every single day at the same seat in the same cafe, Michael Gorn, where he meets customers, team members. He's a face, and people love that. If you can put a name to a property, it gives it instant soul.
That's what Derek does, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
Derek's great at it.
I can't tell you how many people who are, not that anyone is not significant, people that are not a relevant player in the
I'm talking
industry.
about Derek Stevens at Soccer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not relevant players in the industry. They're just visitors or tourists. He'll be like, oh yeah, Derek, I've had a drink with him. And they have that. So now they're ride or die circa. And it is smart marketing. It's the most powerful thing that we can do that really costs us nothing but our time.
And that's exactly, I tell everyone the same thing. This podcast is the great way to engage with people, and it's just my time. But I don't know if it's marketing versus just doing what we love. And I genuinely think that, like for me or Michael Gorn or for Derek, I don't think we're thinking of it as it's what I would choose to do with my time, is to be at the cafe in my restaurant or at one of the bars having a drink with people or at the coffee shop downstairs. That's just what we choose to do with our time. And it makes it much easier if it's a part of your way of life versus a job and a form of marketing.
I actually struggle with it. And I'm a behind the scenes person. Like, I want you to let me come in and film in the kitchen at Oscars, but I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to come in, and I'm creative and I want to make things. I don't want to do things.
Right.
But when I get people every day who message and say, can I buy you lunch? Can I meet you for a drink? Can I whatever? And I'm always like, I have a dentist appointment, because I'm socially awkward, and I might, if caught unaware, say like, how's your cat? Not even knowing if you have one. I'm not good at it. So when I see people like you who can shake hands and kiss babies and leave a memorable, positive impression, I'm always jealous, because I am just as likely to leave a terrible first impression because I'm awkward and I'm
Well,
weird.
you're doing a great job of it.
I would say you've been like a natural on the podcast
Well,
right now.
but there's
so
no one here. But like at Oscar's dinner series, I'm like over in the corner, and then people, and I had a weird
And
interaction.
Oscar calls you Miss Starbucks.
He's so funny. I had a weird interaction where I was like running from people the last time I was here. You asked why I left so quickly. I had to pick up people from the airport, but I saw people coming over to talk, and I instantly had that, what is it called? Imposter syndrome, where you're like, oh gosh, I don't even know what to say to them. Like, they're going to tell me they like my videos and I'm going to say something stupid. So I was like, I'm just going to leave. And then they outran me and they caught me at the door. And Scott, who I love so much, is an attention whore and he loves when people recognize him. So he swooped in to take pictures with everyone. And I was like, so I love Scott.
Is there anyone that you're working with like on a full-time basis? Are you contracted with anyone, or is everything freelance and story by story?
Mostly freelance. Like I've got a couple things. So Drybar, which is a place where you can get your hair blown out.
Your hair looks great, by the way.
Thanks. I went to
Which,
Drybar.
by the way, we have cameras here today, which we never have this many cameras. So
awesome.
we're really taking this podcast to the next level.
Yeah, we got to go viral with some of this.
But I've been going to Drybar as a customer like 2 times a week, anytime I have events and stuff like that. And finally they reached out. And Colleen Birch goes to the same Drybar as me. Sometimes we're like next to each other sharing industry gossip. But they reached
It's still
out.
a small town.
Yeah,
It's still a
is.
small
It's
town. It
such a
doesn't matter how
small
much
town.
it grows. It's
Yeah.
still a small town.
But I asked him, I said, we should work together. And they were like, we didn't want to like intrude on, because you're a customer and we don't want to overstep, but we would love to work with you. And it's not going to be like a paid thing, but it'll be like I get my hair done less expensively. But it's mostly freelance. So people think that we have deals with everybody and we're making money from everyone. The majority of our money comes from creator funds. We get paid. I think my RPM on TikTok is around like $1.50 per 1,000 views. So you guys, but only about 50% of our views end up qualifying because they're shady.
It's based on how long they watch for, or
A whole bunch of things, where they're viewing from, whether or not they're engaging, stuff like that. So the best thing you can do for a creator that you like is watch for at least 10 seconds, click, comment, move on with your life. But a good video, a single video can pay thousands,
yeah.
sometimes tens of thousands. And if you're putting out 2 or 3 a day, which is what I aim for, and it has to be high quality. When TikTok devalues low quality content. So if you're just like sitting in your living room talking to a camera, you're not going to get the same RPM as someone who's like editing and doing things like I do. So, and I'm part of TikTok panels. That's how I get this information. This isn't speculative. I make my money off creator funds. I also sell a guide to Las Vegas, and it's not just like you should go to the Bellagio Conservatory because it's pretty. It's legitimately, here's the best times to get an upgrade on a hotel room. Here's the appropriate way to ask. These are things that you're not going to get an upgrade if you're staying 5 nights and Friday and Saturday are 2 of them.
Right.
So, like on a high volume week. It's just not going to happen.
The $20 trick is dead.
Yeah. No, but you should tip, because you should tip everyone that has the potential
But
to
sandwiching
upgrade.
it between your ID
Oh,
and your
that's
credit
ridiculous.
card. Right.
Yeah. No, you just lay it on the counter and say, this is a very obvious, this is for you. Can you do anything for me? And if they can't understand that, they might keep your 20. It's a gamble. If you don't like that, don't do it. If an upgrade is really important to you, you should pay for one. Like you're just rolling the dice on maybe you get a better view or a more recently renovated room.
Why do you think the $20 trick is dead?
Because it's not necessary. You don't have to hide it and be like,
Oh, you're calling, okay, sorry. You're just saying the trick of hiding it, but the concept is just tipping someone dead.
The trick of trying to put it in between your ID card and try to slide it in and think you're going to get a penthouse for $20.
And the people who are telling
sense.
you to do that have never worked in our or I say our, like I'm still in the field, in the industry, and realize that they're all watched to make sure that they're not trading upgrades for money. And they all have to declare, not for tax purposes, but they have to show money because they can't put their hands in their pockets after handling company assets. So like they're clearing money anytime they receive it. And a lot of times the hotel front desk are pooling tips anyway. I don't know how it is here, but it is at a lot of properties. So the idea that you're sneaking them 20 bucks, like the palming a chip,
Yeah.
like they're not going to take that and then put it in their pocket because they'll immediately be pulled in.
DMing you to get this information?
No, I have a guide that puts it all together for him. And it's not just that. It's also right now, these are the best steakhouses. And I update it every 6 months. These are the shows you should skip. This is good. Here's how to get a discount, like actual helpful stuff. I sell a lot of them.
And then people can use you as a concierge as part of that?
So my guide's $10, which is like coffee in a Danish. And then I have a concierge
Depends
service.
where.
Right. Starbucks.
Right.
And then my concierge service is $65. It's a lifetime service and you get all updates to the guide. That's why if you're a frequent visitor,
Okay.
it's helpful. But you also get my phone number and you can text me and say, look, I'm looking for a place to propose. And I help someone with that this week. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
want private, I want romantic, I want,
You must get a lot of text messages to respond to.
a lot. But it's cool because I dig it and they're all anonymous. I don't save anyone. And the reason I do that is because sometimes their questions are personal. Like, how can we find a companion to join us?
Okay.
And
Do you give them
I do,
tip
but
find a prostitute?
I only advise legal routes.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be responsible for anyone getting in trouble. And trick rolling is a big deal here.
It's insane what it's become, trick rolling.
It is,
It's
especially
horrible.
at Cosmo because they lock them on the balcony with no pants. And then security has to get involved.
That's a real
It happens
thing?
all the time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, almost every day.
It's a sign of a good place if there's a lot of trick rolling, but I
Yeah.
just can't understand how big it's got and how dangerous it is as well.
It
It's
is.
scary.
Yeah.
It's
And
very scary for a
the other
guy.
question is drugs. Like, where can we get coke in particular? And if this were the 80s or the 90s, like maybe I would feel differently, but there's such a epidemic of horrible things going on that I always just recommend, hey, we have some awesome dispensaries that are totally legal consumption lounges now.
Yeah.
You can go to Thrive or New Woo and enjoy and get the social aspect. So I never advise anything illegally, but
So you're a concierge, but you're getting questions for cocaine and
I'm a pimp
prostitution.
and a drug dealer.
You're getting questions about cocaine and Listen, you're coming to Vegas. Those are probably things people are.
But you know what? It's not the people you would think. It's not people who enjoy prostitutes and cocaine on a regular basis. They already have the answers.
Right,
Like they know how to
right.
get. It's like
It's-
the sweet couple who's like, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, and my husband's always wanted a threesome.
Wow.
How do I do this and it not be weird? And I'm like, easy. We call a brothel. They'll arrange transportation. You're gonna pay, but you're paying for discretion. You're paying for cleanliness. You're paying for no problems.
Okay.
You're paying to be safe.
What a great service you
So
offer.
we make it happen. But it's like a group of kindergarten teachers who are like, we want to smoke weed. I'm like, cool, we can do that.
That's easy.
So
yeah.
easy.
You'd be surprised. Like our tech service here that we have at the hotel,
Yeah.
we get some of the same questions.
Yeah.
And we're just like, listen, this is the wrong avenue to go for if you're
They
looking for
know
that type
we
of thing.
have it, but
But
they
if
don't
you
know
want
how
to play pickleball,
access
you can
it.
go to you can go to the fifth floor.
Would you like to play pickleball?
Wow.
It's not a euphemism.
Yeah, exactly. So then, not along the same lines. Weren't you contracted by the LVCVA?
Yes.
I mean,
And
that's pretty crazy. So the LVCVA spends money, which is paid by the room tax, that we all contribute to,
Yeah.
to hire people like yourself to promote Las Vegas. Is that what it is?
So when you asked whether or not I was contracted with places, I have a ton of one-ofs. Pepsi, I did with the Super Bowl and stuff like that. So that I do a lot of. I don't have a lot of ongoing, like you give me $5,000, and I'm not paid by any resort in
Okay,
Vegas.
which is
Never
good.
have been. One time I did a deal with MGM. It was a nightmare. I'll never do it again. So the LVCVA reached out in 2022, and they said, we will give you $10,000 to make 5 videos, which is actually on the low end for what people like I do. But like for me, I was like, hell yeah, like $10,000 to talk about Vegas. Let's do it. That sounds amazing.
And you're supporting the cause, which is ultimately to bring visitation to Las Vegas.
For sure. And
Right.
like to be able to put on my resume that I partnered with Vegas, I was so
Right.
excited. They gave me a cool itinerary. I did a bunch of stuff. I disclosed on every single ad, this is a paid partnership with Vegas. I was very proud of my paid partnership. I did not know that people didn't know that this was part of their marketing budget. And in talking to them, a lot of the tourism dollars that are used to buy followers and engagement and boost up those channels because they have the foresight to realize that people are making their tourism and vacation plans based on what they see on social media. Then that story came out and it shocked everybody. They were like, they're using tax dollars to pay influencers to party. And I think that the messaging was really bad there. I think they should be using tax dollars to
It's
use
marketing.
influencers.
It's better than any
brilliant.
billboards or
Yeah.
commercials.
What do you want, a sign at the airport? They're already here. They get it. Bus stops to cabs.
They're going to get a ad in the yellow page. Right?
Exactly. So paying influencers is brilliant. The problem is they were not requiring disclosure, and people get big mad when someone is giving them an ad and they're not disclosing it. I disclose my paid partner. I disclose my paid part, current tense. If it's paid, I put a label on it. And if you go back and look, you'll see all mine are labeled. But I was one of the only ones that did. And they released a list of like hundreds of influencers they work with, and they would all do videos like they were just on a vacation with their husband. And that is disingenuous, because if you're feeding people a bought and paid for ad, you need to tell them. If I come here and do a dinner at Oscars and you send out a couple of appetizers or whatever, I'm not marking that as an ad, because it's up to me what I say.
Right.
I may say it was terrible. I might not post at all.
You may say nothing.
But if you say, Jen, come in, I'll give you $1,000 and 8 steaks, it needs to be labeled.
Paid
Which is
advertising.
why when you guys asked what kind of deal we could work if I wanted to promote the pool or whatever, I've always said I don't want money from resorts, because it muddies the relationship.
Of course. No, I understand that. That was before we had a relationship. So
Right.
someone just reached out to you.
Now I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'll be there at 5. So.
come and hang out with us.
Right.
But I thought maybe, we had this conversation on the phone the other day. I thought maybe that's why you were so fond of F1.
No, I've never
But
been
it
paid by
sounds like
F1.
you were actually a fan of F1.
No, I would love for F1 to pay me. F1, if you
No,
see
but
this, please.
LVCVA is really the driving behind. I thought maybe that was the connection, but it sounds like you genuinely love F1.
No, so LVCVA will never work with me again. After my video series, which, by the way, I would like to go on record, they're going to be mad about this, but I'm the only truly organic viral video that I can find that they've had. All of their really viral videos are paid. They buy views to push or promote it.
Oh, wow.
Mine went viral on its own, and it was like a day on a budget at Link Promenade, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Sick brag. But they came to me and I was like, when are we going to do another deal? Like, I thought my career was set. Like, I work with Vegas now. And they were like, no, some of the hotels that you have been unkind about have issue with us working with you, because they're also paying taxes.
The room tax, yeah.
So you're basically taking money from Circus so that she can trash us. And she's, or I shouldn't say she, the person that I spoke to at LVCVA said, you're a loose cannon. And I was like, but I'm like the tamest loose cannon.
Right.
I'm honest. And they're like, you can't say anything negative. You've only got a hype. And I was like, then we can't work together. So my relationship with them began and ended in July of 2022.
Okay.
I just really dig the race cars. Like,
Yeah, listen, I think two things can be true at once. F1 is a cool experience. The race cars are amazing. The races, the drivers are great. The experience on the strip, I watched from the Bellagio fountains overlooking. I don't think you'll
I
ever
was
have
right
an
above
experience.
you at the Cosmo.
Oh, you
I
always,
was like looking down.
I don't think you'll ever get an experience like that ever again in terms of watching that while the fountains are going off,
It's amazing.
the people. So I think the advert for Las Vegas was great. It can also be true that it was terrible for business, terrible for small businesses, terrible for downtown Las Vegas, and frankly, terrible for a lot of the strip casinos that weren't higher end in the footprint. And I think that story is important to communicate as well. And I think this year everyone's going to learn from that and make it better. At least we're trying to do that downtown. But when people are like, no, it's amazing, it's great, it takes away from the issues that it did cause for the city.
And so my relationship with F1 is that I spent so much time kind of hating on them for all of the pain that they were causing us. And then I completely flipped my script so much that everyone thinks I'm paid by them, which is wild because they hate me, because I spent a year talking trash. And then I went to the race and I was like, now I have merch and I'm in, I'm buying tickets to. Yeah, I really love Team Ferrari. I
Okay.
just everything about them, but they've had some drama this year, and it's a long story. And I was not a fan of Verstappen because
He was negative about Vegas
he
in the
was,
beginning, yeah.
and I was invited to some of the peripheral activations where we had opportunities to engage with the drivers, and I get that the nature of his country is to be like a bit serious and not so jovial. But you go meet like Carlos from Team Ferrari, he's Spanish and he's sexy and he's charming and he's playing golf and he's hanging out and he's so cool. And then, or Lewis, and he's so just, oh, Vegas, and it's awesome. And then you meet Verstappen and your road sucks. And it's like, all right, cool, go back, go away.
No, I'm just going to win the race and then I'll
Right, and
leave.
then he wins, and I'm like, oh, I wish I'd been nicer to him. But anyway, long story short, I went and became a convert because also, you'll notice about my content is I try to go the other way. Like right now, it would be really easy to hate on Fontainebleau. I would get a lot of views. I'd make a lot of money hating on Fontainebleau. It's low-hanging fruit. It's very easy to hate F1. Everyone's whining about it. Like, obviously, it's painful. But let's go bigger picture. We're setting a stage for Vegas to show our adaptability. And I think we're bidding for MLB. We're bidding for Olympics someday. We're bidding for all the things.
No, that's 100% true. I think the issue with F1 is let it be where it is and let's not jeopardize the whole city. Let the rest of the city
agree.
continue to operate. Let the flights come in. Let the airfare be normalized. Let people not get bad messaging. That the streets are all going to be closed down. You're able to get around. It's not big enough as an event to take over the whole city. You need, I think the LVCVA told us like 300,000 people to fill up the city. F1's not going to do that, but it's going to fill up 5 or 6 or 7 high-end resorts. Now, what's everyone else doing and how are we adapting? That's why having the Raiders game on the Sunday is going to be great.
And we're doing
another
the festival
down here is going to be great.
It's a process.
It's a process, but for sure, it's a great commercial.
It's better than not having it. And I know that there were some issues. Well, you're downtown. That's It's obviously you felt more of a pain point.
Yeah.
But 5 years from now, you'll have a very different opinion. I hope.
I'd like to. We'll see.
I don't think you're going to forget last year's November occupancy and
well, we're not ashamed to say it was probably one of the worst weekends of the year for us. But the good news is this year it's going to be an easy comparison to be better.
And then the year after we'll have it too. And when it's all said and done, like maybe it isn't great for everyone. That Life is Beautiful also, when it was at its peak down here, was amazing for downtown, not so great for other places. There's like ebb and flow.
And look, Life is Beautiful when it started out down here was a real challenge for us. It didn't drive, it was our worst gaming revenues we had good hotel occupancy. And over the years, we've tweaked it.
You mean all those kids didn't play blackjack?
No, but as we got the last 4 or 5 years, became much better gaming weekends.
Because they got older.
Maybe they got older. Also because the city evolved and there's more things happening with the sports and other people coming to town the same weekend. So maybe it's just a learning process and it'll get better.
Yeah, we have to with all of it. Super Bowl was like a hit right out of the gate, but we were born for that. Yeah. That was our moment. Yeah. Super Bowl was wild too. I don't know how it was downtown, but I refuse to believe that Kansas City or Memphis, Tennessee, or wherever else, that they're able to do what Vegas was able to do for the Super Bowl. I stayed at Fontainebleau the night of the Super Bowl, and I was walking through the lobby, and not PR, not marketing, not associated with them, but a friend of mine who works for a different magazine, Travel, David Morris with Modern Luxury.
Okay.
He is come with me. And I was like, okay, I'm not asking any questions. And we got in an elevator, and I was in an elevator with Queen Latifah. So I knew it was going to be good, whatever it was. And we went up to the top, and we get out of the elevator, and it's Jay-Z and Beyonce's personal Super Bowl
at
party.
The top of the Fontainebleau.
And the Poodle Room. And they immediately know who I am. And not them, they had no idea, but the marketing people that were there came over. And they were like, you cannot pull your phone out. If you do, we will throw you off of this roof. Like they implied that. And
did you take a picture anyway?
No, absolutely not. The only thing is they had one area set up for pictures, and this is awful, but you could take a picture in front of this like backdrop like this. And so David and I walked in there, and there was a man in the way. And I was like, sir, you're in the light. Could I get you to step over? And he was like, sure. And someone leaned over and he's like, and I was like, oh my God, he looked so rough. Like time has not been kind to him.
Yeah.
But it was such a cool party, and no one talked about. I think there was one article that was like secret Super Bowl party, and we weren't allowed to share it.
To talk about it.
But then I found out that like Taylor Swift and the Chiefs, they bought out Zook for their private party. Afterwards, they went to XS and had a big party. These parties were going on at every resort. Right. It was crazy. Yeah.
We generally keep these conversations under this time, but you're fascinating. So you've had a little bit of drama this week. You've been talked about, not directly, indirectly.
Yeah.
Is the drama good for you in terms of people engaging with you and following? And if you want to share about the drama, I don't want to speak for you.
Sure. So it doesn't hurt me. Here's the thing. When you have, let's say, 5 million followers, 97% of them they don't care about you. They just want to know where to get a burrito. 1.5% love you. They love you so much, they will come to your house and babysit your kids. Another 1.5% hate you. They want to see you hurt and suffer. Those are the loudest. They always are. So when you have 70 or 80 people messaging you saying like, you did these terrible things or whatever, it feels suffocating. But you have to remember on that particular day, you got 2-3 million views. 60 people is nothing.
Correct.
So this week, we have a creator.
Can I say his name or?
Sure, go ahead.
Paulie C.
Yes, Vegas Paulie C.
Yeah.
We worked together. And now it seems so weird, but he purchased my concierge service years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and sent me a message and said, I want to work with you to develop my business. And I was like, not interested. And he was like, I will send you a lot of money to have coffee with me. And I was like, broke, let's do it. Because this was when I was first starting. I think I had 200,000 followers. Okay. I was like, $1,000 to have coffee with you? Sure. Like, I've done worse. but it was public.
We
and-
won't ask about that part, yeah.
in my 20s. So it was daytime and we met at a resort and he seemed really nice. And that's the part that really throws me. He seemed really nice. We sat down. I have this business, it's called Casino Comp Wallet. And I want you to tell people that we're partnered and I'll pay you $2,000 a month. And this was the first person that really offered me ongoing money. And I was like, I don't think your business is viable. I said the casinos are all pushing their own proprietary apps. They're not going to drive traffic where they're going to see their competitors listed right next to yours so that they can literally choose. They don't want to start a bidding war for offers. MGM is never going to onboard with you. Caesars is never going to onboard with you. And I believe that it will. I have tons of money. People love me. And I was like, I don't believe in it, but I will take your money and make videos for you. Just understand that I have no faith in this. He said, cool. So I came on board. He hired a content creator that I was just going to partner with him. He hired a content creator that I introduced him to. That person smelled blood in the water and left very quickly. So he gave me that person's responsibility and doubled my pay to $4,000 a month. At the time, I was like, I'm getting paid $4,000 a month to walk around Vegas and talk about an app that's probably never going to happen. This is not terrible. I don't hate this.
Yeah.
He would ask me to go to like the Grand downtown. He would book a hotel room, ask me to film it and put up a video. Happy to do it. I liked him. I believed that we were friends. We had a deal with Mohegan Sun that he reached out to me and he said, I have a deal with Mohegan Sun. I think they're going to onboard with the app. Would you come up here and make content? I was like, absolutely. Put me on a plane. Let's do it. I even said I'd do it for free. You don't have to pay me extra. I just wanted to be part of the team. He sent me a contract between Casino Comp Wallet and Mohegan Sun. He's like, look over it. What do you think? Does it look good? I was like, it looks great. I'm thinking we're like two scrappy entrepreneurs figuring this out. He sends it there. The night before I'm supposed to go, Mohegan Sun calls me and they said, we have some questions about your demands. And I was like, I don't have any demands. And they were like, no, you've asked for $1,000 in shopping money to give away to your followers. You've asked for this suite, a party with a DJ and alcohol. And I was like, that sounds like my worst nightmare. I would never go to that party. And I was like, I don't do giveaways because when you do giveaways, you're just attracting people who want the prize. They're not interested in your content. So they ended up being dead weight. So I was like, I don't do it. And I was like, this is a deal between you and Casino Comp Wallet. And they said, who? And I was like, what? It's with you and Paul. And they were like, your manager, Paul? And I was like, wait a minute, send me what you have. They sent me a contract that literally said Vegas Starfish and Mohegan Sun. And at the end, it said, make the $10,000 appearance fee payable to Paul Contino, which I had never, first of all, I didn't know it was worth $10,000. That was awesome, but I wasn't getting it. He never mentioned it to me. He never basically told me that he was selling me to them for content creation. When I confronted him on it, he immediately was like, I'm a business person. You're an idiot. I'm paraphrasing. There were a lot of unkind things said. And I said, just understand that our arrangement is terminated effective immediately. Here's your accounts back, your passwords. I don't wish you any ill will. I don't want to be associated with you. I canceled my trip to Mohegan Sun. I did agree to do them for free at a later date just to make up for the reputation control or damage. Yeah, just because they thought I was coming. They were excited about me coming to make content. And I thought I was just like the camera girl for Casino Comp Wallet. So I immediately stopped it. He got incredibly aggressive and he said, if you do not continue to work with me, if you do not continue our arrangement, I will spend the rest of my existence running you out of Vegas. And so I talked to some people because I was a little scared and they were like, people say that kind of stuff all the time and then they go away. Like he'll lose interest in 3 months. Fast forward 2.5 years, he has 300,000 followers and he's a full-time content creator in Vegas despite living in New York.
Wow.
And it's the wildest kind of Twilight Zone thing because I just thought it would go away and it hasn't. And so I don't talk about him. I don't engage with him, but negativity gets views and low hanging fruit is to go after the big creator. So he will sometimes he calls me the dinosaur and people think he's like talking about my age, even though he's older than me. He's saying that he is the meteor that's going to make me extinct. That's what the reference is.
Oh, wow. I don't know that.
He has said unkind things about my small children. My little one has nightmares about his because they think he wants to hurt their mom. And we are quiet people. We want to be kept to ourselves. It's been a ride. I did get like legal involved, but now he doesn't use my name. So it's very hard to like officially say he's talking about me. But there's a website called Social Blade and you can go type in anyone's social media handle. and it'll show you how many followers they put on in the last like
Oh, wow.
however many weeks. Anytime Paul's numbers go red, when he starts losing followers, he makes a video about me
Oh.
because it gets engagement. His videos will do 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 500,000 when he's talking about me. And it's because I'm a point of interest because people know who I am.
And he's going out and probably trying to get information about you, which is what happened.
And so
in the week.
he put out a video this week saying that I went into 2 different restaurants at Fontainebleau and ran up thousands of dollars in bills and then walked out without paying them, which is wild because as someone who's done influencer agreements, would it be possible for someone to come in and run up a $5,000 bill and walk out and not pay it? Like all that's arranged in advance.
Right.
If you invite someone, there's an understanding of what the comp is or isn't. And even if you tell them like order whatever you want, you're not going to let it get to the point where they're ordering like bottles of Louis the 15th or whatever. The whole thing was wild. When I've dined with my family, I've covered it. I have done a couple of media dinners with Fontainebleau, but I don't ask for anything from them because then I have to give them something in return and I don't want that. So I don't owe anyone anything. It's wild. And as soon as the video came out, I received a lot of texts from Fontainebleau and the restaurants saying, we don't know where he got this. He's saying that he got text messages from company executives. My understanding is they're doing an investigation. And if that's true, like if someone was just trying to be a bro and make something up, then there's going to be negative ramifications for them. If he made it up himself, there's going to be negative ramifications.
It's pretty crazy. My job is to make peace. I'm gonna solve the problem one day.
Okay.
Well, we have to solve the problem. You guys are both good at what you do, and
That far.
you're right. Okay, fine. I can say that. You don't have to say that. But I think that it's better to be positive. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be best friends, but I see a lot of the times when he does do those videos, people are like, why are you so negative? Why are you focusing on
Right.
this? Why da 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 da? Some of it's funny. I don't know. Some of his other stuff, not to do with you.
But like
His
the
other
taco
his
shop
other
drama and
dramas,
all that.
yeah,
But see, here's
yeah.
the thing is where he is failing as a creator. And I know he'll listen to this because anything I'm involved with, he listens to. What he's missing is, first of all, and he'll say he doesn't want this because he wants to be real and authentic. But the people who are attracted to him are attracted to him because it's a flaming dumpster fire of excitement. They're not interested. He doesn't have any value to Vegas because he's not sharing positive, this is awesome, go do it. There's no ROI for working with him. The creator community here, including me, would have accepted him, would probably, maybe still. Just don't be a dick. Be nice. Come in. Support the businesses. Don't talk trash about people, especially people you don't know. Don't say things that you don't know to be true just for views. It's cheap engagement farming. Be a nice person. And everyone here, the resort executives, the creators, were all really nice people.
No, it's a great community. Let's end on a more positive note. What's been your most viral or successful videos over the years? Could you pinpoint any? Or
Yeah, there's been a ton, but probably the one that goes the most viral every time I post two. One, it's negativity. I hate the cake vending machines.
Okay.
And speaking, the previous content creator did a video where he said that I don't like it because I guess Buddy V or Carlos, I don't know, I think it's Buddy V, is super political. He's like a mega donor or something. I don't know his politics. I know the cake sucks.
Right.
And it's like 1,600 calories and it's soaked in like cake liquid and it's made in Jersey.
It's
stored-
preservatives.
Right.
Otherwise,
It's nothing good. But it's colorful. And when you're drunk at 3 a.m. and it's right there and it's like calling you, you're going to buy it. And it's a letdown. And so I did a video. The video got like 15 million views. I made $20,000 off the video. So I was like, oh, I'm on to something. So now every 3 months when I get bored, let's drag the cakes. And it became such a thing that the internal communications for Buddy V's actually sent out emails to all the creators saying, we are under attack from a Vegas influencer. We would like to offer you $25 in cake credit to review our cakes and post a favorable video. And like all of them sent me the emails and were like, we're not eating that. But where they are missing the mark is I've heard his restaurant's amazing.
I haven't been yet.
I've heard it's great. If they would reach out to me, we could sit down and have they could turn this into positive marketing. Because I've
Right.
gotten like 200 million views off of these crappy
on these
cakes.
cakes.
But we could talk about it. And because there are people who like them, they're still selling their crappy cakes. But we could make a joke out
Are
of
they
it.
still there, the machines?
Oh, everywhere. They're everywhere.
So we have our own vending machine drama, or excitement, I should say.
Oh, I've heard. I want to
We
cover
have a
it.
sports cards.
But it's some drama, right?
It's not here right now. Yeah, it's a
They
a
took
partner
your
of ours.
vending machine?
We are it's on ice until we figure it out. But it's basically a vending machine, like the cake machine, but instead of a cake, you get a sports card, and you pay it, or a Pokemon card. And you pay a fixed fee, and the card spits out. Like buying a pack of cards at Walmart, you pay X, and then in the pack is cards that have different values. And so some of the cards could be a $20 card, but you could also get like a Michael Jordan mint. So
This is all I want to do now.
It's
I just want to go farm Pokemon cards. Why is it gone?
There's a question about whether or not it's considered a slot machine. Whether it's considered
It's
gambling.
not a game of skill. And you are gambling.
And well, you're not gambling. You're buying. You're paying. The market. The value of the cards is not determined by. See, when you win money on a slot machine, you get an exact amount of dollars. When you get a sports card,
Oh, it's variable.
who knows what the value of that card is? It's the value that you paid for it. Now, on a secondary market somewhere else, there might be a subjective value to it. It might be someone's favorite player, or it might be this, or it might be that. But the value is not guaranteed. So it's really not a slot machine. So until this is determined, we've decided to put it on ice.
When you get it back, I'm going to live at that machine. I'm just going to buy all the Pokemon
The Pokemon cards. They were it's
They
interesting.
sell
enough.
3-to-1 to the sports cards.
Yeah, people were more
So
into the
excited.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, because I know what a Charizard is. I know Michael Jordan. That's about it. But the other very viral video I wanted to mention is I did a video about body snatchers, the people who pretend to be customer service desks at Venetian and I hate that Venetian does it because it's such a nice resort and they're just making it gross by having them there. But usually at the cheaper properties, they're people in suits who are like, come, let me show you the property, but they're timeshares.
Oh yeah.
And they throw you in vans and they take you and they hold you hostage until you buy expensive vacation
Yeah.
property. And whenever I post a video, I get 30,000 comments from people that are like, they got my mom. And now
Yeah.
we own 7 timeshares.
It's tough though because the casinos get paid so much
So
on these
much.
timeshares. So we had a timeshare partner here, and they used to pay us. I want to say it was like 25,000 for a booth.
It's a lot.
A month.
Yeah. Venetian's
And
making bank.
they're making way more than that. But we parted ways with them, and everyone said they're just annoying.
They're
Don't do
awful,
it. Don't
and
do
they
it.
ruin the guest
And
experience.
And for us, it was like, let's take the sacrifice and grow this business the right way, and that's been
Which is
something that-
awesome. And my biggest complaint and why I don't recommend Venetian as a luxury stay is because you've got those guys everywhere. And then they have the skincare scam stores where the women are like, this will make you look young and skinny. And the guys are like, you're so hot. This will make you hotter. And then you go in, it's like Elmer's glue. And then they take your credit card and they charge you
Should I
thousands
tell
of
you the
dollars.
craziest story?
Please.
I
That
had
it's
a
human
customer
trafficking.
here- no, I'm not even joking. We had a customer here, a nice lady. She must have been mid-50s, and she won a jackpot. She had a jackpot for $8,000, and I knew her. And I was talking to her, and she was a good player. And she went down Fremont Street, and she got suckered into the face moisturizer place. And when she came back, she had a big box, a huge box bag. And I said, what did you do? She said, I hit the $8,000 jackpot. And I said, oh, cool. I'm going to play more, but I just spent all the money. I said, what do you mean? She said, I spent the $8,000 on moisturizer. And I said, are you sure? She was like, yeah, look, yeah. And she showed me the receipt. She was like, did I get ripped off? I was like, yeah. You got
It's
really
repackaged like CeraVe. It's absolutely
She was
generic.
like, oh my God, you're joking. What happened? Like, they just were putting face moisturizer all over me, and then they gave me these big boxes. I said, you gave them 8,000? She's like, yeah. So she went back, and she asked them if she could have it. And I didn't know them, but I'd seen them before and had somewhat of a relationship. And they agreed to reimburse her, but like at a massive cost.
Oh, yeah. 60% restocking fee. It's such a scam. And they put high pressure on you to purchase them. And I said human trafficking. I didn't mean in that.
I've never heard them referred to as body snatchers before. So
Right. With the skincare, what I meant is so people would DM me and they say it's a front for trafficking. So I looked into it and it's not human trafficking, but what it is these young, pretty girls and good looking guys that live in like Israel or wherever will come over and they live in these homes with 10 or 15 of these young hot people and they sell the skincare to pay back like the cost to bring them here on work visas. And in exchange, they either get to go to school here or party here or whatever they want to do, find husbands and wives. But they're all from overseas and they're all working on a commission basis. And there's no set price on their products. So if your wife goes in based on how gullible she looks, they'll take her for $10,000, $20,000. And the whole thing is wild. I did a video on them and my inbox got blown up with like, you don't know who you're messing with. And I was like, oh, the skincare mafia is going to come for me. And they never did.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a thing. So Venetian, it's like slalom. You have to dodge all the
All
body
of them,
snatchers and
yeah.
the skincare. And there's cake vending machines. It's horrible.
Well, we've gone way over, Gary,
So-
but you were fascinating and you have amazing stories. We could probably do another 2 hours of
you're-
this, so it's been great. But Gary,
I got one question. What's next? What's next for Vegas Starfish? Do you have something in the pipeline? I'll go. We always got the question. I'll get to the question.
There's always things in the pipeline, but right now, and I mentioned this before we got to filming, my primary focus is in driving not necessarily business to, but interest in the north end of the strip, because I think it's the future connecting corridor. I want to see. I'm never leaving Vegas. I love it. I love this city so much, and I hope to continue to evolve. Maybe I'll start professionally doing the podcast circuit.
Good idea.
But
You're welcome on here anytime.
thank
So
you. But just building connections. That's all I want to do.
awesome. And then the last question we always ask our guests is any advice you want to give to young content creators or social media influencers trying to get into the space?
Or just any life advice.
So with social media, it's just like any other form of art, because it is art. You have to do it every single day until you find it effortless for you. And then you have to do it harder, because you can't find success and take a few days off. You can't go on vacation for 6 or 7 days. Everyone's attention span is this long. If you lose momentum, it's very hard to get it back. So you have to work hard all the time. People don't realize how hard it is. You have to work hard, but you also have to love it. Just like you have to love what you're doing.
And be nice.
Yeah. And be nice. Get along with others.
Thank you,
All
Jen.
right.
Thank you so much for your time.
for being here on the
Thank
corner
you.
of Main Street. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who Vegas Starfish is, you can follow Vegas Starfish on
All the platforms.
all the platforms at Vegas Starfish.
Except Snapchat, because I can't figure it out. I'm working on it.
Thank you.
You a fan of On the Corner of Main Street? You're listening, so we'll assume that's a yes. So share the love, rate, review, and tell a friend to subscribe. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PlazaPod, on Facebook, Plaza Podcast, and feel free to write to the man himself at Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time, right here on the corner of Main Street.